Hi guys, welcome to Babe Talks, a podcast about life and all its experiences. I am guilty as charged for being absent on this podcast. When was the last time I was here? It's been over a month. Actually, coming to 2 months maybe. I can't promise that I am quite back yet, but here I am. I have appeared finally. How have you been? How has life been going lately for me? Everything has been like calm still. It has just been there. Honestly, there is no even reason for me to be absent. Not that I've been doing the most with my life. I've been a bit active on TikTok, not very active, but at least I've been throwing some videos here and there. I celebrated my 24th birthday a few weeks ago, and I'm happy to be alive, honestly. So let's just get into that juice. What are we waiting for? Let's get into it. In the previous episode, I promised to tell you guys about how I started this podcast. I think it's also going to be a reminder to me to remain focused on the why I started in the first place. So if you've not listened to the previous episode, please just do and then link it up to this one. Okay? Anyway, story time. You guys know how much I love stories. Let's go back to the beginning. You know that I have a YouTube channel that I started back in 2020 when I had just joined campus. Actually, this podcast is also available on there, and some of you may be listening from there. So yeah, munange. With time, I lost interest in posting. Like, I just lost gas. I didn't know which content to put out. And I was in my final year. That's in 2024, 2023 there. So I left the channel dormant for over a year. And to be honest, I didn't want to return. Like, who wants to be stressed about putting out contents, videos, and probably not even watching? The subscribers aren't increasing. What was the point? I was finally free from the pressure that came with YouTube and content and whatsoever. So now, fast forward, I've graduated and I'm working and I'm starting out my career. Everything is going great because I got a place to work immediately after campus. I was not complaining really. But there was a problem. I was asking myself, is this it? Is this all? So I just have to go to work, come back home, make money, banang. Was that just it? Kwegamba, it wasn't fulfilling at all. What I thought life would be fulfilling for me was just not it. Deep down, I knew this just wasn't it. I was living a purposeless life. So I started thinking, what's missing? What can I do to fill the void? And every time the answer was that I needed to make content. But nah, nedanyabo. There was no way I was going to stress myself with it. With YouTube, simanya what, simanya subscribe, sending links, neda. So I brushed that out of my mind very fast. But the void did not go away. Then one day my sister told me about this Christian podcast. This is like 7 months, let me first see. Like 3-4 months after I had graduated and I was working. Then my sister tells me about this Christian podcast. It's called Death to Self Podcast. You guys should check it out, by the way. And I got intrigued immediately. A voice in my heart told me I needed to start one. And as usual, immediately I kicked it out of my mind. I have always dreamt of having a video podcast, by the way. And I know that one day I will. But audio, nah, it wasn't really my thing. And besides, I did not want stress. I looked for all excuses to resist it. And I even told my sister what I was thinking at that time. Then a few days later, you know that moment, guy, you have been on the phone for a long time, and now you're feeling tired and you're feeling drained. So that was the position I was in. And I was like, let me take a quick nap. So I put my phone down, bulunji, and then I entered bed. I was like, let me sleep, because it was around 4 to 5 p.m. The sleep is so sweet. So I closed my eyes, ready to sleep. then my mind went spiraling into my high school days. Now, there is this Catholic over Anglican prayer which we used to recite. I can't remember it Bulunji, but it has these words, quote unquote, we have sinned against you in our thoughts, in our words, in what we have done, and in what we have failed to do. Yeah, that's how the prayer goes. I know you guys can relate somehow. So back then, when I was in high school, I used to wonder, how can one sin in what they have failed to do? Yes, I understood the beginning parts in my thoughts, in my words, because I could relate to it. But how was failing to do something a sin? So it had always flabbergasted me, and I had never got the answer. To me, the only way to sin was when I did or said something, like make it make sense. So this statement of failing to do something was ringing in my mind. Remember, I'm supposed to be sleeping. And then I had previously read the book of Esther when Mordecai told her to approach the king, and Esther hesitated. Obviously, she feared that she would be killed because she was not supposed to approach the king at that time until she was called. Then Mordecai replies to Esther. This is in Esther chapter 4, verse 14. So guys, check it out for more reference. It says, if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place, but you and your father's family will perish. And who knows, perhaps you have come to your royal position for such a time as this. Many people usually focus on the last part of the verse, and that is, perhaps I was born for such a time as this. But recently, at that time, I had learned about the first part. I had read it, and it was now ringing in my head at this moment concurrently when I was supposed to be sleeping. And that part says, if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place, but you and your family, and your father's family rather, will perish. Will perish. I hear perish. So at this time, I'm supposed to be sleeping. My mind is spiraling with that Esther chapter 4 verse 14. At the same time, I am having this in what we have failed to do, in what we have failed to do. So it kept ringing in my mind continuously. It couldn't even let me rest. In what we have failed to do, in what we have failed to do. If we remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise. So those two things started playing in my mind again and again and again. Just though it was like confusion and kamunguluze put together. I fell to sleep, and the words became louder and louder each time until like my heart started racing. I started sweating, but like inward sweating, like I was not sweating physically, but I felt like I'm burning like inside, until I just got up from bed and I knew exactly what that meant for me. It was an instruction from God. I knew from the beginning, and the voice I had been ignoring over and over again was the Holy Spirit. I just started crying. I don't know how to explain it, but I was just anxious, like it was a presence I could not explain, and I'm now crying. I was scared. Truthfully, I did not want to start anything, a podcast. I did not want to start YouTube because I know the stress that it came with, the commitment, and I did not want to be part of any of it. So I kept crying, but I knew that if I didn't, the prayer of in what I've done and in what I've failed to do had just made sense. If I failed to do what the Lord was telling me to do, and it was, at that time it was start the podcast, I would have sinned. And similar to the Esther story, I knew that if I didn't do it, God would send someone else, because he is able to send someone else. But maybe, just maybe, I was born for such a time as this. And I knew that I had to put God first and listen to him, put my pride aside, put my fears aside, and put everything that I thought would happen aside and just follow. At that moment, I went and told my sister what had been revealed to me, and then I immediately had to get to work. I didn't have any content ideas at that time. I had no name. I had nothing. How was I going to record the audio, edit, upload, which audio platform, like all these things. Simanyi, I didn't know anything, but trust me, everything came to me smoothly. God showed me I didn't need anything but my voice. I went and recorded a voice note without even a microphone, and it came out so well. All the excuses I was having, God was like, no, you don't need all that. Then I got my old content book. I was used to writing my content, like back in my YouTube days. I used to write content in this specific book, preparing, and yeah, some of the content actually made it to my YouTube channel. By the way, guys, check out my YouTube channel, especially the older videos. I was rocking it. I was killing it. So anyway, back to the book. It was dusty. I hadn't used it in a while, and I had stamped almost all the pages I had written in, because after writing, I used to just stamp it and close, like to seal up the gap, because I don't like having a lot of gaps in my book. So randomly, I decided, let me just remove these staples, and I read the things I used to write like long time. So after removing the staples, I came across this particular page. I had written the heading, quote, starting a podcast. That was that heading of the content. And then I had researched what I had needed to start back then. Microphone, Simanya, recording software, Manya, name of podcast, what it's about, and other things. So back in the day, I didn't have the answers to any of them. Now I land on this page, and at this time, I had the answers to all the questions I had written back then. But the thing that shocked me even most was that I had written this in capital letters, quote unquote. Podcast on hold for the next 2 years. That's the statement, and and I had even put my signature. You know, I like writing my signature with cartoons. I even drew like a cartoon and everything. And then I had written, actually, no new ideas for now. So I had lost ideas for all these things, and I saw I didn't have gadgets, my microphone, all this recording software, and I had given up 2 years. And then I had told myself, podcast on hold for the next 2 years. Guys, when I was reading that part, it was 2 years later. I didn't even know I had wanted to start a podcast before, because everything had been stapled, and as in, who knows what I have written 2 years, because like you write random things. But reading that at that particular moment 2 years later was just a confirmation from God that he was speaking. And then I quickly remembered that verse in Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 2 to 3. It says, then the Lord replied, write down the revelation and make it plain on tablets, so that whoever reads it will run with it. For this revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end, and it will not prove false. So, by the way, guys, if you have ideas, if you have something God has put in your heart, please write it down, and with time, it will come to pass. So anyway, which other confirmation did I need? I was just, when I read this, I was just crying. But then I had questions. What will I talk about? I don't even know. But I found myself talking about God and putting a Bible verse at the end on my first episode. I didn't even intend for it to happen that way. And then I decided all my podcasts will end with a Bible verse. Just like that, my podcast was limited, and I had to lead to God in the end. That's when God revealed to me that it was his podcast and not mine, that I didn't have to worry about who will listen, and it would reach whoever needed it at a particular time. I didn't have to worry about that. And then a stranger tells me about Beep Talks. Guys, that's in the previous episode. That's a reference. So please listen to the previous episode. Karango. Like I said at the beginning, this is just a follow up from the previous episode. And yeah, that's basically how I started my podcast. And also, the emptiness I was feeling at work disappeared completely. This podcast has given me fulfillment and purpose. I am happy to be doing this, honestly. And it has birthed me speaking to children, teenagers, and I have never been happier. I have joy and peace, contentment that not even money can buy. And all I can tell you is that God may be speaking to you about something. God has put something in your heart and you've been ignoring it, maybe because of fear, or perhaps it's not really financially rewarding. But listen and read the Bible, because God speaks through his word, just in case you're wondering. And by the way, not following the voice of God is disobedience, which is a sin. First Samuel chapter 15 verse 22 says, "It is better to obey the Lord than to offer sacrifices to him." Or the common phrase today, obedience is better than sacrifice. I pray that you will listen and obey the voice of the Lord. And until then, see you on the next episode of Beep Talks.